Okay, so now the recording has started. So we'll start the class now. I'll share my screen with you guys. So this, if you remember, in our last class, we had started the topic of functions. Okay? We had discussed the general concept like why do we need functions, what was the problem that we were facing, and how do functions solve that particular problem. Okay? So the problem that we were facing was that sometimes you have to use the same code at multiple points in your program. So you have to basically copy paste a lot of code, and that increases your overall code size. And later on, if you have to modify that particular code, then you have to go and modify the code in all those places where you had pasted that code. So this kind of manual modification at multiple places is a source of error. We can easily miss updating some portion of the code, or mistakenly make a mistake while updating some portion of the code. Functions basically solve this problem because the code that you want to use multiple times in your program, you write it only once inside a function. So here in this file, from line 6 to 8, basically we have declared a function. A function, it could be, I mean, the size of the function could be as long as you want. Here it's only one line, but you could assume that it's a 1,000-line function. If you want to use this code at multiple points in a program, without functions, we have to copy paste these 1,000 lines at multiple points in our program. But with functions, we would write this 1,000 lines code only once inside a function, and whenever we want to use that code at any point inside our code, we can just call that function. Okay, calling a function is just only one line of code. Here, line 16, 19, 23, and 26. I'm calling this function 4 times. The function that I had declared and defined above main in lines 6 and 8. Okay, so line 6 and 8, basically we tell our program what function we are going to use in our program, what's the function name, type, etc., and what will the function do, right? What will be the code inside that function? So these lines from 6 to 8, we call it that we have declared and defined this function. What's the difference between declaration and definition? We'll study it shortly. Okay? But for the moment, these 3 lines, they are both declaring as well as defining a function. So by declaring and defining a function, we have introduced this new function in our program, and now our program knows that there exists a function whose name is myComplicatedShape, who does not take any argument and whose return type is void. Okay, and what will this function do? It's mentioned between these curly brackets that this function would basically print a statement. Okay, between the curly brackets, we have the body of the function. The body of the function could be as large as we want. Here, just for the sake of keeping things short and simple, it's only one line. Everything you can do inside the C++ program, you can do it inside a function. Okay. So this is basically the declaration and definition of a function. When we declare and define a function, the syntax we had discussed is that first of all, we mention the return type of the function. Here, the return type is void. Then we write the name of the function. Here, the name of function is myComplicatedShape with underscores. And then we open these parentheses, and inside the parentheses, we write 0 or more arguments to this function. What are arguments? What are they used for? How do we use them? We'll study it soon. Okay, but we will have 0 or more arguments inside these parentheses. So if you compare this syntax to the above function, between the parentheses I have nothing, so it means I have 0 arguments for the function whose name is my underscore complicated underscore shape. So after the arguments, we close the parenthesis and then we open a curly bracket. Inside these curly brackets, we have the body of the function. The body of function is consists of statements. You can write as many statements as you like inside the body of the function. Okay, so this is a general syntax of declaring and defining a function. When we have to call a function, again, the general syntax would be of calling a function. Basically, we would write the function name, open the parenthesis, whatever arguments that function needs, we have mentioned them in a declaration, we would give them here, the arguments. And then we close this parenthesis and optionally, we end it with a semicolon. Okay. So calling a function basically looks like this. The function name, open a parenthesis. If there are any arguments for this function, we mention these arguments inside the parenthesis, and then after the arguments we close the parenthesis and a semicolon. Okay, so if this is the end of the statement, we write a semicolon. So if we again compare this syntax to here, our calling of this function, we have the function name, and then we open this parenthesis, and since we have no arguments for this function, we close this parenthesis. Since there were no arguments, so we didn't write anything between the parentheses. And then since this is the end of our statement, we write a semicolon. Okay. You know, at the end of every statement, C++ requires a semicolon. So the call to this function, this is also a statement in C++. Okay, calling a function is also a statement, and at the end of this statement, we would put a semicolon as usual. Okay, so these are the general syntax for declaring and define a function as well as calling a function. Okay, so we had seen that whenever we call a function at any point in our program, the code in the body of that function will be executed. Okay, so here we are calling this function 4 times. So the code contained inside the body of this function would be executed 4 times at 4 different places in our program. This is approximately what we had done yesterday in our last class. Any questions so far? Let me see the questions in chat. Yesterday's lecture's audio is coming, not video. Okay, so we'll see, discuss these things about video later. For the moment, let's focus on the content. What is the purpose of arguments? Okay, this we'll discuss soon. The variable that's going to be used in the function, I think it's this sentence is incomplete, so I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. Can you show an example with an argument being used? Okay, we'll see different examples of functions. Okay, so for the next few classes, we will study only functions. So we'll see all the examples, but for the moment, whatever I've said until now, have you any confusions about that? What do we mean by declaration and definition of a function? What do we mean by calling a function? What happens when we call a function? And what's the general syntax of declaring and calling a function? Calling a function basically whenever you want to use the code within that function, we have to call that function at that particular point in our program. So calling has a special syntax that I mentioned here. Calling a function basically comprises of writing the function name and then the opening parenthesis. Okay. Then if there are any arguments of the function, we mention the arguments and then we close the parenthesis. So this is the syntax for calling a function. And since it's the end of the statement, so we put a semicolon also at the end. This is a general syntax, and for this particular example, line 6 to 8, if you want to call this function, we have to write its name, which is my underscore complicated underscore shape. And then we open this parenthesis. And after this opening parenthesis, we'll normally write any arguments that this function might take. But for the moment, this function has no arguments as mentioned in its declaration. There are no arguments here. So we write nothing here and we just close the parenthesis. Okay. And since this is the end of the statement, so we put a semicolon at the end. Now this is the syntax for calling this function called my complicated shape. What this will do is, what calling a function does is that at this particular point in the program, it will execute the code for this function, the code in the body of this function. Okay, so it will execute whatever is between the curly brackets of this function. So here we have only this one line with cout, so it will execute the code for this function, which is basically this cout statement. Again, we call it again here at line 20. It will do exactly the same thing, execute the body of that function here at line 20. And similarly at line 24 and 27. Okay, so calling basically is whenever you want to execute the code of that function, you call that function. Okay. Spaces are allowed or not in assigning name to a function? No, it's same as variable names. You can't have a space within the name of function. You can have alphanumeric characters, alphabetic characters, numerical characters, and you can have underscores between the name of the in the name of the function, but you can't have spaces. Define a function. What do you mean by this comment? Define a function. Okay, so no response from Saleh. So okay, I'll continue. And if there's any question, you can ask it again later. So now let's again, in the beginning, in the last class, I told you that functions are another way of influencing the flow, the execution flow of our program. Remember, we said that execution flow moves in a straight line unless you use some special statement to modify that execution flow. We discussed yesterday that we had if-else statements and for loops and different kind of loops to modify the general flow, which basically moves in a straight line. So I had also said that functions also modify the control flow. So how do functions, not the control flow, the execution flow of the program. So how do functions basically influence the execution flow of the program? That what happens is when our program starts, it starts from main and it starts executing different lines within the main function, different statements within the main function in a linear fashion. So it will first execute this cout on line 15, and then it will basically execute this call to this function on line 17. And what this call is, does basically it transfers the execution control flow, the execution flow of the program to this line, the first line of the function, line 6. So you see the execution flow here at line 17, instead of moving forward to line 19, it now jumped to the declaration of the function, the body of the function. Okay, so here the execution flow will jump to line 6, and then it will basically, within this function, it will move on linearly. If you have multiple statements here in this function, it will execute them one by one linearly until the end of the function, which is basically this closing curly bracket. And then after this closing curly bracket, instead of moving to line 9 or 10, it will basically jump back to where it came from. Okay, it's a very important concept. Calling a function basically makes the control execution flow of the program jump to the body of the function. Okay. So here the body is between line 6 and 8. So it will execute the body of the function in a normal fashion, linearly, and then whenever it finishes executing the body of the concept, it will jump back to where it came from. Okay, so the key phrase here is where it came from. So here, where did it come from in this particular execution of the function? Tell me the line number that it came from. Yeah, pause. You have been asking this question since yesterday. हम main से पहले function declare करेंगे या बाद में? I will come to that in due time, but please kindly answer my questions. Right now, concentrate on what I am teaching. Right, we'll study these functions for the next like 6-7 classes. So all your questions will get answered, but we'll do it step by step. So please answer the question that I have just asked. What this execution flow that I discussed right now at line 16, sorry, line 17, I called this function. So the execution flow, instead of moving forward, it will jump from line 17, it will jump to line 6, the body of the function, and then it will execute the body of the function until the end. And then after line 8, after finishing the body of the function, the execution flow will jump back to where it came from. So my question to you was, where will this execution flow jump back to? Where did it come from? Give me the line number in the program. Line 17. Very good. So it will jump back to line 17 where it came from. Okay, and then it will continue the execution forward after line 17. Okay, so the execution flow will again continue on line 18. There's nothing. It will go to line 19. It will see out this line number, and then again there is a call to my completed function. Again, the call to this function would make the execution flow jump to the body of the function. It will again jump to line number 6, and it will continue executing the body of the function until it reaches the end of the function, which is line number 8. So after reaching line number 8, this time again it will jump back to where it came from. So now it will jump back to where? Line number 20. Okay, very good. So always you are seeing that every time we call a function, we are coming from a different place. The execution flow, it's coming to execute the body of the function from a different place, and every time it will go back to where it came from. Since every time it is coming from a different place, so every time it will also go back to a different place. Okay, so in the first call at line number 17, it basically came back to line number 17 to continue the execution from here. And then in line number 20, we'll jump again to the same body of the function at line 6. And after executing the function, we'll this time jump back to line number 20 and not line number 17, because this time when calling the function, the execution flow went from line number 20 to line number 6. So again, when coming back, it will come back to line number 20. Similarly, it will continue forward, declare this integer, see out its value, and then line number 24, again it will call this function. So the control execution flow will jump back to line number 6, execute the function, and return back to here line number 24. Okay, and then it will continue forward. And again, line number 27, it will jump to line number 6, execute the body of the function, and return to line number 27 to continue forward. Okay, until it reaches the end, and at that particular point, the main function would also terminate. Okay, so is it clear? How does calling a function influences the execution flow of the program? Every time you call a function, the execution flow will jump to the start of the body of the function. It will execute the whole body of the function until the end, and then after finishing the execution of the function, it will come back or jump back to where it came from. Okay, so where it came from is very important. If we want to print any specific line somewhere else, how will we do it? What do you mean by printing any line somewhere else? You can unmute and speak if you wish. If I want to line 13 at line 19, this sentence is not like correct. If I want to line 13.
Sir, if I want to print line number 13 at the place of line number 19, means in case if I need line number 13 at the place of 19, so how will I print it at line 19?
If you want line number 13 at the line number 13 is int main.
I was generally talking, means if it is something else, just consider line number 15. I want to print line number 15 at the place of line number 27. So how will I do it?
Line number 27, we are calling a function. So anything inside that function will be executed. If you want to, let's say, print this thing, you can put it here in the body of the function, and whenever you call the function, now these both statements would be executed. I'm not sure if that's what you meant or if you meant something else. Yes, so function call is basically the whole function is executed in a function call. Then you make another function in which you put only line number 15. Let's say you make a second function. We call it F2, and here F2, and then now it will print line number F2 whenever it executes line number 33. It will print hello world. Is this what you were asking? Okay, so I hope this answers your question. This is also a good question. Can the body of a function consist of loops, switch statements, etc.? Yes, you can have everything inside a function that you can write anywhere in the C program. You see, last time we discussed main is also a function. Okay, so anything you can have inside main, you can also have it in any other function that you have defined. That includes if, else, switch, while loop, do, while, for, even functions within a function you can have. but the last thing we'll discuss at some later point. Is it clear? Okay, so let's do a few examples. Let's declare some functions which do some different things. So let's say we want to make, can we have function with a function? Yes, but we'll discuss it at some later point. So right now, let's say we want to make a function that takes two numbers and adds them and returns their sum. Okay, so we can make a function. Let's say I'll just quit this function and file and make a new one. So we have to make a function that adds two numbers. So whenever we want to use that function, we'll give it two numbers to add. It will add those two numbers and give us the result, return us the result. So first of all, okay, so who will help me write this function? You can, one of you can volunteer, you can unmute your mic and you can guide me through the process. I will help you, of course, but I need somebody to interact with. So who will volunteer to interact with me? Hmm? Come on, show some sportsman spirit and instead of suggesting other people, I prefer somebody volunteer themselves. Kindly speak only for yourself. I want a volunteer who can help me write this function. Somebody who can unmute their mic and guide me step by step writing a function. I will basically help them. Please.
Sir, first of all, we will declare it.
Okay, so first of all, we'll declare it. Okay, so before, yeah, this is an important point. Sorry, I think I did not emphasize it enough. Before calling a function, you have to declare a function. Okay, so we'll basically do the declaration definition thing together again, and we'll declare it, declare and define that function before using it. Okay, before calling it. So first of all, we will need to declare and define this function. So you guys know the syntax, the general syntax of declaring and defining a function. Okay, so please, Uzair.
Void.
Void. Okay, so first of all, we have to write the return type. So now is the time to discuss what is a return type and what does it mean. So a return type is basically the result of a function. Whatever a function does, it sometimes gives us a result, and that result is usually a value. So whatever kind of value that function is returning us, giving us the result that it is producing, the return type of a function should be of the same type that the value that function will produce. Okay, I mean, am I clear or am I confusing you guys? The return type of a function is the type of the value that that function will produce or that function will give us. I'm repeating it again. The return type of a function, void will come later, but first of all, understand the concept of a return type of a function. The return type of a function is a type of the value that the function will give us. By returning, I mean giving us. Let's say, let's take this example of the function add. The add function, we will give it two values. Okay? So what it's supposed to do, what we have discussed so far, is that it will add those two numbers and it will give us back the sum. Okay, so this giving us back something from a function, we call it returning something. Okay, so this add function, it would basically give us back or return us the sum of those two numbers. Okay? So the return type for this function should be the type of value that this function would be giving us back. Okay, is it clear? What do we mean by the return type? No, sir. Okay. The return type. Sometimes a function performs a calculation. Uzair, I'm going to mute you for a moment.
Okay,
and then
sir.
you can unmute again.
Okay.
So sometimes what a function does is it performs a calculation and produces a result. Okay, the result is a value. So that value basically, it should have a type. Every value has a type in C++. So the return type of a function should be the type of the value that this function is producing. Okay. Yes, void is a return type, but what does void mean? We'll come to it later. But for the moment, void is a return type, but for the moment, let us concentrate on what does a return type signify? What does it mean, a return type? A return type is the type of the value that this function will generate, that function will produce as a result, that function will give us back. Okay, as I said, most of the times functions basically do calculations and produce some result. That result is a value. And the return type of a function should be the type of the value that that function would be producing. Yes, exactly. The return type is the data type for the output of the function, or the value that this function will give us back. Okay, we don't use the word output, but rather the value that is returned by that function. Is it clear to others also? Or do you still have confusions? What does a return type mean? Okay, if anybody has any confusions, they can ask now. I can still repeat it. It returns a body. No, it does not return a body. It returns a value. Every function returns a value sometimes, or most of the time. Okay. That value is data. It has a data type. So the return type of a function should be the data type of the value that that function will produce. Yes, we are going to do an example right now. So I think I'd better move to the example. So Uzair, can you please unmute your mic?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are going to make a function which is going to add two numbers and give us back the sum of those two numbers. Okay. So by this explanation, what do you think would be the data type of the value that this function will give us back?
Sir, I think that int is good, but void can also do that function. Void can also do that work.
No. Just answer only my question. The function add, it will produce a value.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What will be the type of that value?
Int.
Sum.
Yes, sir.
Int,
That will be integer
int,
or maybe
yeah,
float.
no, int only if the two numbers that we are adding are integers, then the value returned will also be of type int. And if the two numbers that we are adding are floating point numbers, then the sum would also be of floating point. So let's assume that the numbers that we are adding in this particular function are integers. So the type of the sum would be
Int.
Okay. So basically we expect this function to return us a value of type int. So the return type of this function would be int. Okay. So now we continue the definition of our function. So we start by the return type. So the return type is
Int.
int. Okay.
Space.
Space. We can give it a name, any name. Okay.
Num underscore add.
Num underscore add. Okay. We can give it any name that you like. We call it num underscore add. Very good. And then
space parenthesis.
Space, and we open the parenthesis. Okay. So we can see that we are following this syntax at line number 16. Okay. So add
Close
and then
as we have
close
no
parenthesis.
arguments, so we will close it.
Exactly. Again, so we'll basically now come to the arguments.
Curly braces.
No, wait a minute. We'll now come to the arguments of the function. This function basically, whenever we are going to call it, we are going to give it two numbers to add. Okay. So whenever we want to give some value to a function in our program, we give it through the arguments. So since in the use of this function, we intend to give two values to this function to add them of type integer. So how many arguments will this function have?
Two.
Okay. And what will be the type of these two arguments?
Int.
Okay. So basically we'll give it two arguments. We'll say in the declaration that this function takes two arguments of type int. Okay? So we can define it here like int, and we also have to give names to those arguments. Okay. Int
num1.
Okay. Num1.
Comma num2.
Num2. Okay. So another important thing, as Uzair said, is that to separate different arguments, we use the comma operator. Okay. This is argument 1, type plus name, comma, and then argument 2, again type and name. Okay. Since we have only two arguments, so we'll not put another comma after this second argument and close the parenthesis.
Now.
Okay.
Curly braces.
Oh, wait a minute. So now we have defined, the arguments for this function, that there are two arguments within the parenthesis, and they are both of type integer. And the first argument name is num1 and the second argument name is num2. Then we have closed the parenthesis, and now we are ready to write the body of this function. Okay, so the body, again, we put it between curly brackets. So now this is the body of this function. In the body of this function, basically we'll write the code that this function will do. So right now we have a very simple function to make. We want to make a function that adds two numbers. Sorry. So whenever this function will be called, we'll give it two numbers, which it will get in num1 and num2. So what we want this function to do is add those two numbers and create a sum. Okay. So we'll declare a variable sum, and we'll add these two numbers, num1 plus num2, that this function has received.
But sir, we have not initialized the numbers yet.
Yeah, I'll come to that. So whenever the function will be called, it will be given two numbers, which it will receive in num1 and num2. And what this function does is, every time it receives num1 and num2, it will add those two numbers and store a sum in this variable called sum. Okay. And now, since this function is going to give back this result, so we give the result of the function back with this return statement. We say return sum. Since here it is sum that we are going to return or give back, so we will say return sum. Okay. So now what this function does is, now this is a function which has a return type of int. Why? Because it is returning a value whose data type is int. That's why its return type is int here. Okay. Int, because it is returning sum, which is of type int. It has two arguments, num1 and num2, both of type int. And what it does is, it basically adds its two arguments, stores the result in the variable called sum, and it returns this value sum. Okay. So we'll see how we're going to use this function, and how, as Uzair said, we are going to initialize num1 and num2. But for the moment, if you have any confusions about the declaration and definition of this function that we have done, you can ask your question. Now, let me see the comments in chat. What's the difference between int and void? We'll discuss it. Void doesn't return type. We'll discuss it. We use void when function return a value. Okay, we'll discuss it. How we'll initialize them with 0. Okay, we'll discuss it. Can you please repeat why we need arguments? Okay. What even are arguments? Okay. Num1 and num2 global variables. Okay. Argument means variable which are used inside the function. Sir, it's all jumble the code. Peaceful information that we are gonna give to created function later on. Yes, that's correct. Sir, num1 num2 saying no. Arguments just tell the created function that its type information is going to be put there later on. Very good. What would the scope of int sum be? We'll discuss it. We have not assigned value to num1 and num2. Okay. Okay, so yes, you are correct. We have not assigned any value to num1 and num2. Let's do that. Assign a value to num1 and num2. When do we assign values to arguments of a function? Before I tell you, does anybody has any idea? When do we assign values to arguments of a function? How will num1, num2 get their values? By calling it. Very good. See? As Mohammad Rafi said, we assign values to arguments of a function when we call it. So let's call this function that we have just made. Int x is equal to 45. Int y is equal to 78. Int z is equal to 0. Now here we do z is equal to, I call this function. num underscore add in, x, y. Okay. Now this is basically line number 31. There is a call to the function numadd. Okay. Remember, when we call a function, we write the name of the function, we open the parenthesis, we give it any arguments that we want to give this function, and then we close the parenthesis. Okay. So this is basically calling this function numadd. And if it is the end of the statement, we put a semicolon. Now, calling a function basically would execute that function. It would execute that function, and whatever we want to pass, whatever information that we want to pass to this function, we will pass it through the arguments. Okay. So here I've given it two arguments, x and y. Okay. In the declaration of the function, also we had said that this function can take two arguments, num1 and num2. Okay, so both are of type int. So when we call a function, we pass it some information, some values. Right? So here I'm passing it x and y. So what it will do is it will put this value of x, which is the first argument to this function, in num1, which is the first argument in the declaration. And then it will also put the value of y in this argument num2. Y is the second argument. So again, its a value will be put in the second argument. Okay, so num1 will receive the value of x, and num2 will receive the value of y. And then this function will be executed. What it will do, it will basically add these two values, num1, num2, and then it will store the sum in sum and return the sum. So the return value that this function is generating, producing, giving us back, returning, is this value sum. So the return value basically replaces the function call in a statement. Okay. So here this call to function numadd, it will be replaced by whatever value was returned by this function num. Okay. So this function will be evaluated and executed, and it will be replaced by its return value, which is sum. So this sum, which has replaced this call to function, would be assigned to z. And now if we output or print the value of z, we will get the value which was returned by this function in the form of sum. Okay. So before I take your question, I will just run it to show you what this does. Come to, so you see the function returned 123. So what happened here was that the program started executing at main. It assigned the value to x, to y, to z, and then it wanted to execute this statement, line number 31, which is an assignment statement. On assignment statement, you guys know that first of all, the right side of the assignment is evaluated to calculate a result which will be stored in z. So evaluating a function call, basically whenever there is a function call in a statement, this function will be executed. Okay, numadd, we are calling it, so it will be executed, and whatever we are passing it in the parentheses, it will be passed to the arguments of the function. So here we are passing it two values, the value of x and the value of y, and these two values will be passed to these two arguments respectively. The first value will be passed to num1, and the second value will be passed to num2. Okay, so num1 and num2 will be initialized with the values of x and y. And then this function will be executed. execution basically means all this code in the body will be executed. So it will add num1, num2, store the result in sum, and then it will return sum. Okay? So this return value will replace this function call when it will be evaluated. Okay? Now the right side of the function, the assignment statement has produced a value, which is basically the value returned by the function, and then this value will be assigned to z, which means it will be stored in z. And then we'll move forward and print this value. Okay, is it clear? Let me see your questions. Okay, so I think, I hope I answered this question from where num1 and num2 will get their values. Okay? So whenever we call this function, we could pass different information. Every time we call this function, we could pass it different information. Every time we call it function, this function, we could pass it different numbers. Okay? So these numbers will be stored in num1 and num2 every time we call this function. So then this body of this function will be executed. It will add the two numbers and store the result in sum, and then it will return the value of sum. So the return statement, I mean, whoever wrote this, I can't understand the value of return. The return statement is basically used to return a value from the function to produce a result for that function. So here basically we will return the sum, and then the sum will be replacing that call to function. Value of int x should be stored in num1. Yes, it will be. Repeat it again. Int sum in above is z. What return sum did? Return sum basically returned the value of sum, which means it replaced the call to the function in this line number 31 by the value of the sum. Okay, we call this function, it executed, and then it returned us this value sum. So this highlighted portion will be replaced by the value sum. Okay? And then that value sum will be assigned to z. But if we see in the value of x and y, will it work? Yes, if we see in the value of x and y before calling num, it will work. But if there is no value of x, it is not possible to have a value variable with no value. What you can have is a variable with garbage value. Okay, so whatever that garbage value is, that will be used when we use that variable. Could we assign values to variable in function? Means not at the time of calling. No, which variables are you talking about? We are talking about the arguments of the function. The values to the arguments of those the function are assigned at the time of calling, like we did. After reading line 31, it will return to line 18. Let me see what was in line 18. Yes, in line 31 has two parts. This is this assignment part, and then there is the right side of the assignment. So first of all, it will evaluate the right side of the assignment. The right side of the assignment is a function call to numadd. Okay, so this function call, it will jump the control flow from line 31 to line 18. Okay, so it will go to line 18, and at the same time it will also assign the value of x and y to num1 and num2. Okay, so the execution flow will jump to line number 18 with values of x and y in num1 and num2. Then it will continue executing the next line. It will sum the value of num1 plus num2 and store the result in sum. Move on onward, continue next line. It will return sum. Return sum basically, after this the function finishes, and what will happen is after completing this function, it will jump back again to line number 31. Okay. Now that it has finished this function call, it will replace this function call with the value returned by sum, returned by that function, which is the value of sum. Okay. So this right side of the assignment operator will now become equal to the value of sum, and now this value will be assigned to z. Okay. And now the execution of line number 30. So the program execution will move forward and see out the value of z. Is it clear? How does the flow of the program works when calling a function? Can we assign the values to num1 and num2 in int numadd? You can, but it is usually not used in this way. Functions are basically used to you give some information to the function. The function does some calculation on that information, and then it returns you a result. Okay, so it could be some very calculated computation. Right now we have very simple computation, which is addition, but it could be some very complicated computation. So you will give some value to the function, it will do some complicated computation and then return you the result. Okay, so the arguments, the values to the arguments, if you want, you can reassign them inside the function, but they are not used for this. Okay, the values to the argument outside. Whoever calls this function will assign values to num1 and num2. Yes, you can use anything in the function. Whatever you can use in main, you can use it inside the function. Okay, is it clear? Yes, I just said whatever you can use inside the main, you can also use it in any other function. If you have a long question, I don't know how long it is, you can unmute and speak.
Sir, if we assign, for example, in case if we want to take values from the user and we write in the function which we have declared int num, in the while in the time of declaration, if we ask the user cout enter any value for num1, and then we assign it to the num1, means we initialize num1 from the value which we took from the user, and after that if we ask him again that enter any value for num2, and we initialize that value to num2 through cn. So is it possible?
It is possible, but usually arguments are not used for that. Arguments are used to pass values to the function from outside, whoever is calling that function.
Sir, in this case, we are also taking the values from outside. Whenever we call the function will run in a manner that the function will ask the user to enter the values.
Yes, but usually we do not always take the values from the user. We might want to take these values from another part of the program, not from the user. But what you are saying is possible. If you want to do that, you can do it. Okay. Can you code that cin on console? Cin before calling the function or cin inside the function? Mohammed Talha. What Uzair said. Okay, if you want, I'll do it, but Okay, so here we go, and we are calling it in the same way. Okay, we are calling it by passing it the values of x and y. Four and 22. Sum is 26. Okay, 4 plus 22. The function returned as the sum, which is basically 26. So here we are displaying the value of z, which is 26. Okay, any other question anybody has? That is a very good question. What happened to the values of x and y that we assigned to num1 and num2? Very good question, Alishka. So you see, we are calling this function numadd, and we are passing it two values, x and y, which are basically 45 and 78. And calling this function and passing it these two arguments would basically assign these two values to num1 and num2. So num1 will get the value 45 and num2 will get the value 78. Okay, but later here we are getting a value from the user and overwriting the previous value of num1. Similarly, here we are overwriting the previous value of num2. So when the sum happens, it will happen with the new values of num1 and num2, which have basically overwritten the previous values of num1 and num2, which were the values passed by x and y. Okay, so the values of x and y are passed to the function. They're assigned to num1 and num2, but then we overwrite it because inside the function we are reassigning the values num1 and num2. Is it clear? Okay. So before the next class, I would like you guys to declare a few functions, use them in your program, declare them and then call them, like function to multiply, function to divide, some very simple functions, and use them in your program. And by the way, there's one thing we missed. What does a return value of void means? Void is a keyword in C++ which basically means nothing. Okay, or no. There's nothing here. So a return type of void means this function is returning nothing. Okay, so here we see this function is not returning any value, not producing any result. So its return type is void. Similarly, if we don't have any arguments, again, either we can write it like this or we can write it void, that there are no arguments to this function. Okay, so void basically means nothing. Okay, so whenever we are not returning a value function, we'll say that its return type is void because it must not returning any value. So there's no data type to mention, and if there are no arguments, we can always write void between the parentheses. Can we declare variables naming num1, num2, and numadd inside the int main? Yes. We'll discuss this next week. What you are. Then where we use void? We used void in the return type of the function if the function is not returning anything. Okay. Similarly, we can use void instead of the arguments of the function. If there are no arguments of the function, between the parentheses, we can write void. What does return 0 mean in int main function? Yes, return 0 means this function is returning the value 0 whose type is integer. So it will return the value 0 to its caller. Whoever called this function main, it will get the value 0. Can we use condition inside the arguments? No, inside the arguments, usually we don't use condition. It will make things complicated. So conditions, etc., you will use them inside the body of the function. What do you mean, Usman, int main?
सर यानी अगर हम इंट मेन में लिखते हैं सी आउट 2 मल्टीप्लाई बाय 2 और कर देते हैं रिटर्न 2000, आंसर तो इसका 4 ही आएगा। यानी तो यानी हम वो 2000 सिर्फ बताने के लिए कह रहे हैं कि जो इसकी रिटर्न टाइप है वो इंटीजर होनी चाहिए।
I'm not sure I understand your question. Int main is basically we are declaring the function main and we are saying that its return type is int. It will return a value of type int whenever we call it. So main, whoever is calling the main will get a value of type int. Yes, this cout 2 multiplied by 2, this is not returning anything. This is just printing to the screen. The return statement is basically returning this value 23242, and wherever this function main is called, it will be replaced by this value 23242. Okay. The question, can there be two main functions? No. In C++, main is a special function. You can have only one main. And secondly, if there are other functions also, there should be something different. Just like you can't have two variables of the same name, similarly, you can't have two functions which are exactly the same inside your program. Okay. Any other question? Okay, so I think the class time has, like, we have overshot the class time. So before next class, I would like you guys to try and basically make some functions and make them perform some work and try calling those functions and receiving their result in main. Right? And call them multiple times. Like here, we call this function only once, but so here we'll just remove these portions to basically use the values passed from main. So every time we'll see that this function will return as You see, every time it's returning a different value based on what we have passed it each time we have called this function. So try making some functions, calling them from your program, and we'll discuss, continue this discussion in the next class on Thursday. Okay, so try also reading the book. What does it tell you about functions? And try it and then come up with questions. Yes, Uzair, do you want to ask something?
Sir, can we define any parameters inside the main function?
What do you mean by parameters?
Sorry, sir, arguments.
Yes, there are some special functions, arguments that we can define in parentheses of the main, but right now we are not discussing them. Right now, keep your main parenthesis of the main empty. Okay. So no, tomorrow there will be no class. The next class will be on Thursday, same time. Okay. And kindly mark your attendance as Usman Tahir did, writing your reg number and name. Okay, so try making some functions in your program and using them. Most probably in simple functions you should be able to do it, but if you have any problems, we can discuss it in the next class on Thursday. Uzair, you can lower your hand if the question is finished. Okay, so if you guys have marked your attendance, thank you very much for attending this class, and try practicing, and I'll see you guys on Thursday. Thank you and Khuda Hafiz. And after this class, everybody please disconnect from the meeting because the video will not be produced until everybody is disconnected. Okay, Khuda Hafiz.